It seems to me that if there's any discrimination going on, it is the discrimination that is embedded in the Choose Act that
Yes.
discriminates against, systemically speaking, discriminates against public schools. And I think, and also discriminates against the average taxpayer because, our money is being, funneled away from the public schools that our whole state benefits from, and children across the state benefit from, to being funneled to schools that are really designed to benefit people who have the resources and the opportunity and the means to send their children there.
Alrighty, welcome back. Alabama Politics this week. Our thanks to Mary Moore. As you can see, it's so fun. No, I'll just hold it. That's what she said. I told her, asked if she wanted to put her phone down. I said, no, I'll just hold it. I got it. Don't worry about it. Well, we don't want your hand to get tired. I'll swap hands. So it was great. Mayor Steven Reed. It's always great to get Mayor Steven Reed in here. It is always an interesting conversation, and it's funny, really, really funny how those conversations seem to be so different than the narrative that you get from lawmakers and from some media about what he's like, what he's pushing for, what he's resistant to, and then he comes in and we talk to him about it, and it's a completely different thing. It's he's not resistant to anything. He's the only thing he wants is for it to be productive and for us to listen to police. I mean, anyways, thanks to him for spending some time.
I like him. He's thoughtful. He's reflective, and he comes across as reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like that about him.
I do too, and I know they have his battles. He has his battles with some folks, and listen, I've disagreed with him on a couple of things, but it was not on major stuff, and it certainly never had anything to do with him not having the best interests of the city. I think he does. I think he grew up there. I think he has a lot of family and friends who live there, and I think he wants it to be as good as anybody else does. And I think he's trying that. You may disagree on how things are going, but I really, really have a huge problem with putting that at his feet. Because I was there, lived there for about 20 years before he became mayor. And I saw it. I saw what was happening. I saw this trend. I saw where it was going. I wrote about that this was where it was headed. Many other people did as well. I wasn't alone. I was getting my information from other people who kept saying, look, psychologists and everybody else were saying, look, this is not good. You're damaging, you're traumatizing an entire generation of children by what has happened. We're leaving them behind, and you're not picking them up, and it's going to be catastrophic. Man, here we are, catastrophic. So thanks to him. Thanks to the folks over at Wind Creek Hospitality for everything that they do to help us out. Thanks for the folks at SPLC as well, and for all of you for listening. And really, I really want to dedicate this show to Don. This is really Don's episode. So we started with football. We're going to end with football as well. And so I really, really hope he enjoyed this. On his morning walks up Monsanto Mountain. I hope it's chilly enough for you out there, Don. And so you can go. Maybe you can start cutting the grass now.
It's going to be about 5 to 10 degrees cooler at least, I think, up there.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. All right, hey, we're because we've gone so long, we're gonna get right into the right wing nut / bonehead, and it is the people, the Republicans in the legislature who were so desperately pushing for this Let Them Play Act, which was, if you followed along, there was a whole controversy between a number of Republicans and the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And that controversy arose from the fact that the AHSAA has rules regarding transfers. And those rules state that you can just transfer. You've got to you've got to meet certain qualifications. Okay. You've got to have what they call a bona fide move to be able to transfer from one school to another and become immediately eligible to play. And what bona fide move means is your family's got to actually move. I mean, you've got to make the move like families do from one district to another district in order to be able to be immediately eligible. And what was happening and when it comes to private schools, they have a whole other set of rules because private schools don't have to adhere to those district lines anymore. And so, there were ways to become immediately eligible, but you had to adhere to that. And just simply transferring in, especially if there was a scholarship being offered there, which now the Choose Act is essentially a scholarship. There's somebody else footing the bill for you going to this private school. Now all of a sudden, you're not eligible. You got to sit out a year. And so they were enforcing that rule. They were going to enforce it on Choose Act kids. And they lost their minds because how dare you, and really, we're not talking about a whole lot of kids right now, but it will be. It will be a whole lot of kids in the future because what is going to happen is the private schools are going to start to use this as a recruiting tool. They're going to go into schools within cities and other places around, and they're going to start to recruit kids to come to their campuses, and they're going to give them the scholarship money that's going to that's going to foot the bill for them to come in and become immediately eligible to play at their schools. If this thing stands up, which I suspect that there's probably going to be some lawsuits, some litigation that takes place, and it will not hold up because the AHSAA has every right to enforce its rules. But what I had a particular problem with, okay, was these people labeling this as anti-discrimination. Okay. And we're ending the discrimination against the children in private schools. I mean, shut up. Okay, shut up. Of all the discrimination for you to find and stamp out, all right, the ludicrousness of this whole idea that these kids were being somehow penalized unfairly for this is so stupid. When really all you needed to do was one simple thing, and it would have solved all of this. Okay, it would have solved this whole thing: waivers. If you had simply put in a waiver program where the kid who's transferring to a private school could have gone to his coach at his old school and said, "Hey, I'm leaving because I want to do X. Will you sign this waiver for me?" And if that kid is not one of the handful of top athletes that were being lured to the school, then that coach 99 times out of 100 would have signed that waiver and never looked back. There would never have been a problem. They would have signed them in almost every instance that a kid didn't want to be there. He would have signed that waiver and sent him on his way. But they didn't want to do that because they wanted to make a spectacle out of this.
Well, you have a lot more passion about this than I do, but I will say this: when it comes to labeling things as discrimination, my ears automatically perk up. And it seems to me that if there's any discrimination going on, it is the discrimination that is embedded in the Choose Act that discriminates against, systemically speaking, discriminates against public schools. And I think, and also discriminates against the average taxpayer because, our money is being, funneled away from the public schools that our whole state benefits from, and children across the state benefit from, to being funneled to schools that are really designed to benefit people who have the resources and the opportunity and the means to send their children there, which I don't begrudge them. I attended private schools all my life, just about, except for a couple of semesters of grad school. But so I'm not an anti-private school person, but I'm absolutely anti-public money going to private schools.
Yes.
And so to me, if there's any discrimination going on, that's where the discrimination is.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's the just insanity of saying these schools are not performing well. And so we're going to give you this, because this is the argument. This is the argument they use. You shouldn't be trapped according to your zip code. You shouldn't be trapped in a school that's failing you. Okay. All right. And so it presents this narrative of this public school that is failing students, right? That's the narrative, that we're saving these children from these failing public schools. But not all of them. Not all of them. Only if you can afford the transportation and the lab fees and the extracurricular fees and the lunch fees, then you can go. If you can't, too bad. You're into failing school. You're back into failing school. To hell with them kids over in the them poor kids, the ones who really need it, the ones who really need a leg up, the ones who aren't going to have the advantages, the ones who aren't going to get the tutoring, the ones who aren't going to have the high-speed internet, the ones who aren't going to get possibly the parental support at home because their parents, or maybe working 2 jobs or whatever they're having to do to support the family. Those kids who really need it, fuck them. Yeah,
so we create a scenario where we have this class of children who we are depriving of public dollars and opportunities, and then when a percentage of them becomes adults, hopefully a small percentage, and I'm sure it's a small percentage, when they become adults and then end up being a drain on the system because of their poverty or because of crime or drug addiction or whatever the case may be, then we want to even further say, look at these people, quote unquote, these people, when we are the reason. We have created the system and the cycle that has increased, the chances, probably guaranteed the chances that they were going to be where they are. Well, it's a crazy kind of logic. It's a crazy kind of logic.
The idea of labeling a school as failing, okay?
Yeah.
And then leaving kids there without any extra support. What the fuck are you doing? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
And then to have the gall to 2 years later be surprised that those kids are not the most productive citizens. Well, how dare they? Why didn't they pull themselves up by their bootstraps like I did? They didn't even have boots.
That's right.
It's just.
That's right.
It's just. Like I said many times before, Montgomery is a case study in the cause and effect of exactly what they're trying to do over and over and over again right now. That it is a case study in. All the kids go to private school. All the kids are in the top kids are in the separate magnet schools. We're going to put in charter schools as well to further segregate everybody out. And so now you've created schools that are 90% free and reduced lunch. That's what you've done. You've created a whole section of public schools that are 90% free and reduced lunch. And all the other kids are going to these other places around here. So you've created this segregation. And now you're surprised to learn that, number one, those schools are underperforming. And number two, that the products of those schools are not necessarily performing well in society.
Yep. Shame on us.
Yeah. Shame on everybody involved in it, and shame on anybody who continues to perpetrate this idea that any of this was a surprise or that it wasn't the intended damn goal, because you just didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit about them. Yeah. And now you do, because it's affecting you in your life and you're outraged by it and putting it all at the feet of the black mayor or whoever else you can blame, anybody but yourself, for doing all of these things that led to this stuff. And look, I get it. I get now that it's a broken system that's going to take a lot of work, and that there are good people who are caught up in it who need some help, and they don't want to be a part of fixing the system. I get a lot of that, okay? But the idea that you're going to blame somebody else for it right now, that's the part that I have a problem with. Okay. Yeah. So, and like I said, they'll bend over backwards to help the poor, discriminated against rich white children, that are going to schools, to the private schools. But they refuse to do anything to help these other kids, and that's what has been it's such a slap in the face to everybody with a brain. I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
It's to label it failing and do nothing to help them. To label it failing and do nothing to help them. That's what is the true travesty out of all of it. So,
Yeah.
all righty, I got wound up enough. Let's get out of here.
Yeah,
Till
man.
next
But,
week,
but
y'all
it's
be safe.
righteous indignation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Y'all be safe. See you.
Peace.